Anthony Joshua in the right mindset is a killer.
Pro boxing fans, here with Gareth A Davies. It feels like Groundhog Day. It feels like we've been here before, which we have. The same hotel in Riyadh. This time another big fight, heavyweight fight. First of all, Gareth, how's things? How's life?
Very good, yeah, it does feel a little like Groundhog Day. The piano's playing. We haven't got the Christmas celebrations this time, if you remember, because it was December the 23rd, Day of Reckoning. We're back here in this exquisite vestibule of the Crown Plaza RDC, massive conference centre. We're all amassing here ahead of Knockout Chaos, which is going to be all week. And obviously we're about to go for the grand arrivals. I can reveal that it's in this little area called Greece, not as in the movie with what's his name, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, not Elton John. Yeah, we're going to be in a Colosseum, aren't we? Have you seen it?
I've heard it.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it. It's going to be really amazing. It's going to be amazing pictures. We're there all week for the set pieces. Yeah, it's great to be back. It does feel like we've been away. We were due to be here in February, but obviously that's been commuted to May when we see Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury get into a ring. And it's here we. What's this? The third really big event we've done here in Riyadh. Feels like we've been here more times than that, doesn't it? But third big event, yeah.
Let's talk about this fight, Knockout Chaos, as you said. Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou. I want to talk about the specimen in Francis Ngannou. You've been around the MMA scene for years. You've covered many UFC, MMA events. Anthony Joshua, when he normally steps into a heavyweight fight, normally he's a bigger physical specimen. Bar possibly the Klitschko fight, everything around that, he's normally the bigger guy. This time, Francis Ngannou seems to be the bigger guy. Do you think that could play on Age's head, or is that just what it is, heavyweights or heavyweights?
He's used to really big guys. It's the land of the giants, as I think he said when he had a little cuddle, didn't he, with John Fury on yesterday evening when they met. I think it was at the Ramla residences, and I think it is land of the giants. He's used to the big guys, but I think Anthony Joshua is one of those guys that when he's really there, he's got an ominous presence about him. He's huge, the bowling muscles, the way he kind of carries himself like a big cat. And Ngannou really does feel like the predator. He really does. You sit down with him and he's a huge physical lump, a man mountain, and yet he's so softly spoken with that French lilting burr accent. He's very quiet when he speaks. He doesn't say a lot. I've just done an interview with him it's out in the Telegraph, an exclusive interview about his journey through Africa, an extraordinary story. But to get back to your point, I think physically Anthony Joshua didn't look intimidated by Francis Ngannou. Certainly at the press conference in London, he seems to be relishing it more than anything. They're both very, very respectful. But when he gets into the ring, when that bell rings, he's going to have to put a dent into Francis Ngannou. Obviously, as you know, as you just said, I've been involved with MMA for years as well. No one ever really knocked him down or hurt him or beat him up or knocked him out with 4-ounce gloves. They got him to the ground and wrestled him. So that's what's going to be fascinating in this fight, whether Anthony Joshua can apply his instincts and chop down the big oak tree and fatigue Francis Ngannou in a way that Tyson Fury wasn't able to do and had to just out-fiddle him and out-box him in that fight. If Joshua fights the right fight, he should be able to hit Ngannou very hard and come in and out. He's not unmissable. He doesn't do a lot of feinting and moving. It's a really exciting prospect. There's some. It's easy to have a debate about what may and may not happen, and obviously we've seen there's none of this nonsense this time about Francis Ngannou. It's a horrible mismatch. There's 30 minutes of data. You go and look at it. He's not bad at all at boxing. He's a striker in MMA anyway. So yeah, it's going to be a great week. I think what we're all looking forward to is the two men being together and seeing what the interaction's like this week.
I do want to ask you, Francis, in the face-to-face with the Zone. I'm not sure if he talked to you about this when you've had this interview, but he talked about just putting on Anthony Joshua and looking for the knockout. Yeah. Has he got experience now learning that you can't chase the knockout? We saw in the Stipe Miocic fight where he tried to sort of go for that knockout, he started gassing out. Do you feel like he's got enough experience to know when he needs to go for that knockout or when he needs to hold back and look for slowly sort of find an opening?
Absolutely. And in fact, I asked him about that myself, and I said, do you believe you will knock out Anthony Joshua in the fight? And I'll quote him because I remember the exact quote because it was really good. He said, if the question is, am I looking to knock him out? No. If the question is, can I knock him out? Yes. If the question is, do I believe I can knock him out? Yes, of course I do. But in these kind of fights, if the knockout comes, the knockout comes. And the only time I really did go looking for the knockout was in the first fight with Stipe Miocic, who was the UFC heavyweight champion, and he got taken to the ground in that fight because he went looking for the knockout. And if he doesn't look for the knockout, it will be more fluid. It's going to be a great contest. He's saying all the right things. We saw what he was capable of last time. Dewey Cooper I've interviewed already, his trainer. Clever guy, and Eric, his trainer. John Mabomba, they've put loads of work in camp. And they really do believe that he's going to be able to go in there and box Joshua at the beginning and then take it to him eventually. And they do believe they're going to win. Dewey Cooper believes he'll knock him out late in the fight.
I want to ask you about Anthony Joshua, somebody that you've covered from day dot, even before that in the Olympics. One thing that John Fury said maybe about 18 months ago in an interview was physically with Anthony Joshua, you don't need to do much with him, it's mentally. If you get him right in the mental state, he's there, he's a great fighter. Yeah. Do you feel like, I wasn't here yesterday for the media event, but do you feel like we're now seeing Anthony Joshua who's in a good mental state with a good team around him, with good people and, got enhanced skills further? Do you feel like we're seeing that right now?
Two things I'd say. It's always been nice to hear John Fury say nice things about good things and positive things about Anthony Joshua, and he has many times. He said, obviously, that there's no way that boy beats my son because no man born of another mother beats my son, the mantra now. But he's right. Anthony Joshua in the right mindset is a killer. When he's on form and he's in the right place and he's got faith in his abilities and knows his plan and it's working for him, is amazing. It's when things don't go right and he's got to look for other ways to get through and get into plan B, get into plan C, which he may need against Ngannou if Ngannou doesn't get chopped down at all and is just absorbing his punches and is firing with him. Because what Ngannou will do, I don't think he'll be too different to what he was like against Fury. I think he'll try and be patient, get into range, and when he is in range, he's going to try and throw with Joshua. I think we'll find that Joshua's got probably slightly quicker hand speed. I mean, Ngannou's hand speed did surprise me, certainly in the first 3 or 4 rounds of the first fights that we saw him in boxing. But no, John's right. And I've spoken to Ben Davison. I went into camp about a week and a half ago, into the camp in Harlow, and spoke to Ben Davison and Thomas Carty as well, by the way. And they were all saying that Joshua's really prepared well for this, and they're expecting a great performance from him. He's also said himself that everyone's had the wake-up call from Francis Ngannou. If you're not taking this guy seriously, you're a fool. There's a big, big truckload of bucks on the line here for Anthony Joshua, but bigger than that is his legacy, because Ben Davison believes that he can beat Usyk a third time, and Eddie Hearn, because Ben hasn't said it yet, but Eddie Hearn thinks Joshua can beat all of them, we're given the right mental capacity and the right momentum.
I think we saw a good mutual respect between John Fury and Anthony Joshua yesterday. It's good to see. What did you make of that interaction? Whilst things get said on camera from either team, when they met up close, it seems like there was a good mutual respect. What did you make of that? My dealings with John Fury, I know he's he goes kind of crazy at times when it's live and he gets into combat. No man can call him out, and I'm not calling him out. We're the same age. No,
I'd probably run quicker away from him than he could from me, but that's about it. No, I've always had a great relationship with John, to be honest. I think John, when he saw
Anthony
him,
Joshua
said, "Look at
in
the
the right
size of you.
mindset is a killer."
You are the." I think he said something like, "Aren't you the biggest, most in-shape fighter? Look how big you are." And Joshua's a very generous man with his space when he meets people. I've always found. You hear from people around him, he doesn't want to be critiqued too much, or that he's sensitive about things. But I mean, my dealings with Anthony Joshua have always been amazing. The only thing I want is more time with him. We all want more time with him. That's it. So, look, I think John is very, very good at selling a fight. I think he also knows his boxing inside out. And if I were John, I'd want Anthony Joshua to win, because I'd want Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury to fight each other after Fury and Usyk, because then his son has mopped up the entire division, if you like, in this era. Pretty much, anyway.
Tyson Fury did an interview yesterday with Wawa Hydrate, and something he said in there was...
What, out in Thailand?
In Thailand, yeah. It was
looks good. Yeah. He looks in great shape, and my spies out there have told me that the cut seems to have healed really well. I didn't watch the video last night, but I'm hearing the cut's healed really well.
He's saying that when he fought Ngannou, it was a mismatch. Now when Joshua's fighting him, it isn't. He feels like Ngannou should kiss his feet because he's made him a multi-millionaire. But my question is Ngannou still an enigma in the sport, or is he now a reckoned force that we could say, or are we going to know more after Friday night?
He's an enigma on an anomaly on a puzzle. And he always will be. It's only his second boxing match against the very best in the sport of this era. Now, whatever anyone else wants to say, whether a Mike Tyson or a Lennox Lewis or anyone wants to say about Francis Ngannou, that they'd have wiped the floor with him, we don't know that. We do not know that for sure. And I think, and I don't agree with Tyson. I think, again, Tyson's selling a story here. Ngannou gave him a hard night. Ngannou gave him an embarrassing night for what he is, but he also showed that he's a much better boxer than anyone was ever giving him credit for. That wasn't me, by the way, because I always said I thought he had 10 minutes to do a lot of damage in that fight. And I'm not saying, wow, look what I know, but he did it within 10 minutes. He changed the course of that fight with the knockdown. Fury tried to come back and gain ascendancy, but by then, look at Ngannou. I'm holding this, I'm keeping this, I'm switching southpaw. No, I don't agree with... Look, Fury has made him a big star. There's no question about it. I remember coming away from that event thinking there's two winners here. There's the winners in the eyes of the public. The winner in the eyes of the public, which is Francis Ngannou, who's become a new star in the division. A new player, if you like. Got his number 10 ranking from the WBC afterwards. And we've got him. You'd watch him against anyone in the top 10. You'd watch him against Wilder right now, wouldn't you? And there's people out there that would give him a chance. Might be a boring fight. I don't think it would be, but Tyson, that's just Tyson's view. It's Tyson getting ready, isn't it? Because they might fight again. I mean, I've spoken to Dewey Cooper, Ngannou's guy, and I do understand behind the scenes that there is talk of a rematch if Tyson stays around that long.
I think Tyson said it himself that he's got the last fight he wants to do is possibly an Ngannou rematch before he calls it a day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he'll have $500 million in the bank by then.
Two questions before I do let you go. Another heavyweight we need to talk about. The news broke out yesterday. Dillian Whyte's been cleared. They're saying that it was a contaminated supplement.
Yeah.
Where does this leave Dillian, though? A lot of people are still looking at the situation, say, listen, he's been there before. There was a lot of question marks over the Oscar Rivas situation. Do you feel like he can get straight back into the mix? Do you feel like promoters will be welcoming him back? Or does he maybe need to build a few fights before he comes back to the top?
I mean, he's cleared his name. He's actually cleared his name based on there was contamination in the supplement. So there will have been evidence for that. So they've obviously held on to the container numbers of the supplements, which is what you're meant to do anyway, log them all. So in case this happens, good for him, Good for him that that's happened. Good for him that they kept the data. Good for him that they had the literature to be able to present that case. Dillian's been very quiet for a long time. It made no sense to me at the time that Dillian, in a fight he really wanted with Anthony Joshua, remember it was Anthony Joshua he was going to be facing. We were all so excited about it. You know, they're both at different stages of their careers, 7 years after they'd fought. And he didn't get to have the fight, and instead it was Robert Helenius, wasn't it? Who as well tested positive for something, which is an odd one. It's such a shame we didn't get that fight. So, no, I think promoters will work with him because he's cleared his name, he's ratified the fact that he took a substance, and it is known that there's sometimes tainted supplements. He's been through this before. He's been through 2 situations similar to this before. It didn't make sense to me at the time. It's probably pained Dillian that he's had to be very, very quiet. And I'm delighted.
You feel like he's dealt with it the right way? A lot of people have said, where's he gone? A lot of people are questioning where he went, but he just kept quiet. Now looking back at it, hindsight's wonderful, but do you feel like that was probably the best way to deal with the situation?
Absolutely the best way to deal with it. I'm so glad he dealt with it in that way. Now he can come out, do an interview, say, that's what happened, rather than, you got to believe me, and then having scorn poured. There's so much trolling goes on today. Look what Conor Benn went through for all that period of time, you know? And we're still waiting for the resolution on that appeal hearing, aren't we? There's some people trying to say that the result is out already, but it's not. What's this mythical 2 weeks that have turned into 6 weeks? They need to sort this business out.
It'd be good to see Dillian Whyte in the mix. You know, we're seeing it all out in Saudi. Hopefully, hopefully we get to see him in a big fight again. Final one for myself, Ryan Garcia. This is quite a serious one. When you look online, you see sort of what's going on with Ryan Garcia. People are saying, like, ex-partners have come out and said, listen, he needs help. Devin Haney saying, I don't know, he might be trolling, but at this present time, there seems to be concern for Ryan Garcia. My question is, first of all, do you think this fight with Devin Haney needs to possibly be pulled to maybe give Ryan a bit of time, maybe away from the sport, or do you feel like we just got to put him into that fight?
Well, it's a very good question, but I don't think it's my place to answer that in the way about. I'm not his psychologist, and I'm not, and nor am I a psychotherapist. Well, he rolled up to the press conference on a white horse, which I thought looked amazing. I've always been a fan of Ryan's in that way. Get on extraordinarily well with him. Oh, I think he likes to troll, as does Michelle Joy Phelps. She just trolled us then with a bit of noise to my left. I'll never get over the fact that people think I tried to kiss the back of her head in Quebec when she turned her head on me. Anyway, you can hear the laugh in the background anyway. I'd have to be able to have a direct line to Ryan Garcia to ask him. I think he's fine. I think he plays the game. I mean, the only way I just don't feel in a position to judge his mental state. I've seen that video, like, it's like shot on an old camera or something, where there's someone invading the house, and I don't know, I think it's trolling myself. I mean, listen, if he's not well, then we need to know. But his mum, I've seen his mum interviewed recently. I just think he's playing a game.
Hopefully.
What do you think?
I'm going to go thought on it, but hopefully he is playing the game, because
I hope so.
Hopefully he's not going to.
He's a great kid. He's so good for the sport, you know. He's the catalyst for massive fights in America at the moment that they really need, you know.
Cool. Gareth, you know, it's always a pleasure talking to you. It's always a pleasure seeing you out in Riyadh.
Always a pleasure.
Just
call me Riyadh Gad.
That is terrible. That's terrible, Gareth.
It's my new clothing brand, by the way. It's called Riyadh Gad. And here's my model. Modelling, come on in. And modelling today's first outfit for Riyadh Gad is Michelle Joy Phelps. And she just kissed me on the back of the head.
Let me kiss the back of.
Sorry, I've got an interview to do. Leave me alone.
Right, Gareth, thank you very much, mate. I appreciate your time.
Cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.